Hi everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having a phenomenal day. Happy Friday to you. We're taking a quick look at some important stuff here regarding the coins of interest, but more importantly, Bitcoin, the foundation of how the market's looking. We had a 0.9% increase for wholesale. The PPI went to 3.3 instead of 2.5. That caused Bitcoin to drop hard at that 124.5K resistance shelf. Essentially that new resistance, we broke our all-time high. Furthermore, Trump-Putin summit today at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So depending on when you're watching this, that may or may not have happened, but that's a fundamental catalyst. Generally recommend avoiding trading until that happens and just kind of see what the trend looks like first. Right now, the trend is down. Be very careful. Once more, it's a short-term trend. As we look here, rising wedge, we want to double check that. We're going to double check also this descending trend. Quick at a glance here for the coins we're covering today. And obviously same thing with Bitcoin dominance and CME futures, and rounding out our analysis as well with a crypto market overview. Be sure to stick around. We got a big one here today, folks. Let's take a look. Before we jump into the charts, just want to quickly highlight a nice deposit reward bonus and future trading rewards here from Bitunix. There's no KYC or VPN required, and this is available between now and October 30th. Furthermore, if you want to bolster your knowledge and become a better, more consistent trader, we've got a trading academy, community, and signals group. Link down below for that, CryptoCache.tech. All right, folks, let's go and take a quick look here at the overview first. Just get a quick perspective of what's going on. Altcoin season index is in pretty good shape here. Just want to kind of touch on this. We're still maintaining above that 1.5 trillion threshold. That's a good sign. And then also, if we look at 43 here on the altcoin season index, that's just kind of a number representing how well altcoins are doing versus Bitcoin. We have more coins doing better than Bitcoin than coins struggling. Even though it's not like the greatest situation right now with Bitcoin pulling back, it still shows sustainability. Every time the price pulls back, altcoins tend to recover quickly. And that's a good sign for the overall sentiment. Touching on PPI once more, just to kind of clarify, this caused Bitcoin to pull back from that 124.5 rough estimate all-time high to where the price is at currently, just based on this coming in higher than expected. That's basically just an early sign of inflation, effectively, because of tariffs. It's that residual. Trump-Putin summit today, once more, just to clarify, it's available on my Twitter, Telegram, and Discord if you're curious. I always provide those kind of updates when they are relevant. Let's discuss here a little bit more outside of fundamentals and just recognize the back-end technical data, or front-end rather, where we got some divergences here on the MACD. This is a 3-day chart, just kind of giving you perspective that we have multiple divergences, but we don't have a ton of movement here on the histogram. Okay, so when this starts to kind of continue a lot lower, then we're going to be in a position where we need to start getting concerned because we have momentum. Right now, we just have a potential shift in momentum, and it's too early to say. We're honoring our ascending trend line, still in decent shape here in the overall sense. I don't think we need to run for the hills just yet. This is a weekly time frame, kind of letting us know we do have a bearish divergence on the RSI. When the RSI starts to cool down and the price goes up, still remains to go up, that just kind of shows weakness, essentially. And it's going to allow the price action to pull back here in the relative near future. Just note that that's more, it takes a long time for the weekly to follow through. So we could see this impact months from now, okay? But just know that does exist. Let's go ahead and take a look here. Side-by-side comparison with these coins, and we can kind of see that for the most part, they're all maintaining very well within their support range. A lot of them are maintaining here either above or parallel with their previous highs here. Okay, now some are performing a little bit better than others. We're going to identify those here today, but you can see some pretty obvious lines here. Once more, I have my playout charts available on Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. The more details are available there, and we'll look at those charts here shortly. The thing to recognize here, though, and this is kind of just an overall view of Bitcoin dominance, Ethereum dominance, stablecoin dominance, and then of course the all three excluded. In other words, we take a look on the bottom right here. This is the true reflection of how altcoins are really doing right now. You can see they've pulled back in the last 24 to 48 hours. And once more, you'll typically see this consistency where money flows away from altcoins and into stablecoin. So right now, whales, people like you and I, and pretty much anyone, they're putting money into stablecoin, waiting for a better dip to buy. So I think it's still a little premature to try to buy all these dips just yet. But it all depends on how you buy too, right? I mean, it's not a one-size-fits-all situation. So I'm waiting for slightly better entries, of course, but I typically wait for opportunities that don't happen, and that's okay. My ships sail often, and I have no problem with that because I find good opportunities when I do. So it just depends on who you are and how you average in. Again, there's a big difference between spot bags and averaging into a leverage position too. Okay, please understand that. All that said, here, this isn't relevant specifically to all these coins, but the CME gap has been filled here for Bitcoin. So keep in mind the CME futures gap has been fully filled for Bitcoin, so a pivot and or a bounce from here is logical, okay? So just know that that could happen. Let's go ahead and take a quick look here at the backend data, first of all, with Chainlink, and kind of go from there. So with Chainlink, we got a lot of open interest above the price. So even though it seems juicy to want to try to take a long right now, it may be advantageous to consider either shorting or to wait until these levels are broken. What I mean by that is we have a lot of exit liquidity in between $22.50 and $23. So that's going to be a heavy area of exit liquidity. I think the likelihood of people trying to sell their positions at that level or break even essentially, it's going to be a thing, okay? Especially with the downtrend for Bitcoin. Overall, liquidation short delta is still high, so there's more people shorting this coin. And if we do take a look here at the liquidation levels, we can see there's a lot more liquidation down below between 19 and 21. So that's a rough estimate, of course, but generally speaking, it makes more sense for us to break down than up based on these metrics alone. Now, we don't trade solely based on those metrics, do we? We want to make sure we understand the big picture. So bigger picture here on the daily time frame is still quite bullish, right? We're still above all moving averages. While we do have a fair value gap as low as $20, that's consistent, again, with the liquidation range we just discussed. We can see here overall, we're still in pretty good shape. This is one of the few coins that looks super bullish still. Now, the thing about the daily time frame is it can be deceiving, right? It's a very slow, slower moving averages. Everything just kind of slows down the daily time frame. So while it's a good perspective in knowing that we're still bullish in the overall sense, it doesn't mean that we can't still pull back. 4-hour time frame does indicate that we can still pull back because we've lost the 50 and the 20-day SMA. We've lost 50 on the RSI. Money flow index is dropping super hard. We're in a pretty rough spot here in the transitionary time frame. So to me, I don't think Link is worth considering taking along right now. If you absolutely insist, we do have a previous or local low here at $21. That may be a good consideration for long. I still think it's a little premature at this point, but it's also fairly late to consider a short too, right? So we're overextended leading into this. We got our point of control here at 22.50. Hypothetically shorting the 2250, that 0.236 fib level that once again has confluence, we want confluence when we trade, is essentially that level that may be a better opportunity for you. Right now we're kind of in that transition. I don't like trading transitions. I'd much rather wait for tomorrow the price to be higher on Link to short, or it to be lower sometime today in order for me to take a long. So this is kind of one of those things. Anyways, patience is paramount. Make sure you understand that. We've been patient ourselves as a community, and I want to quick little congrats to our community here for some nice profits in our Solana short yesterday, 24% there. We've actually taken a lot of profits here recently on previous trades. Those were longs on XRP, Doge, Litecoin, and a handful of others too. What was it? I think we had a couple of ETH and there's ETH and CRO too. Yeah. Anyways, just kind of let you know that trades happen, but you don't have to force trades. And when we don't force trades, we do better. And that's kind of what I try to emphasize to my team, my community. Pump the brakes. It's okay. You don't have to see a trade signal every single day. It's okay to miss opportunities, because what do you know? Tomorrow there's going to be 1,000 more opportunities. What's a big deal? Okay, moving on to Litecoin. This guy here, looking at starting with back-end liquidation. Open interest does reflect that 109 and 113 are those two heavy concentrations of open interest. So those are going to be some solid support ranges for us here soon. Same thing as well with liquidation short delta. The implication of the price going lower is higher based on people shorting this coin more than taking longs. However, this coin has just seen a manipulative wave down, so we may actually be on our way back up here soon. This all depends on Bitcoin, of course, but you see here, all this liquidation has been fully swept, so there's literally probably about $1 billion worth of liquidation that just got hit hard. So all those late longs are like just totally destroyed. So we're probably going to see a new flow of longs jumping in as the price dead cats for Bitcoin. Okay, I'm expecting Bitcoin to rally a little bit and maybe reject off that 118K range. If so, a lot of coins are going to fall back and belly flop. We do have 110 to 113 as that next area of liquidation. Take a look at the front end here. We do have a broadening wedge type of pattern. This doesn't mean too much. You don't want to read into broadening wedge patterns too much, but generally speaking, they are typically bullish. So in this case, since we derive from the downside, the likelihood of further upside is slightly greater. I don't want you trading on patterns alone, because that's not a really good pattern here at all. Just kind of showing our trends here. We're testing our lower trend line, so hypothetically we're going to bounce. We do have a MACD divergence here as well. We're getting close to 50 on the RSI, stochastic swinging down. Money flow index is still high, so that's good folks. That does imply sustainability, but I really just don't like this chart. It's not good. I'm not going to want to trade this until there's a definitive direction, either breaking below the trend or just essentially sweeping some more liquidation there. But the 4-hour time frame, simply put, not looking great either. We're below majority of the moving averages. While we do have the 200-day SMA at 113, that could be a possible pivot point for us. We're still under 50 on the RSI, stochastic swinging down. MACD's diverging. Nothing here really at this point. So I would skip on Litecoin. I would miss that bus, if you will. So let's take a look at the back end here for AVAX. This one is highly questionable. In other words, I get probably the most amount of requests for AVAX. And this coin here, right above the price, right where the price is consolidating, basically $24 to $25. Super massive amount of open interest. More importantly, $24.50 to $25.50. Now that kind of tells me that we have resistance above us and that shorting is maybe a better consideration. Liquidation delta is shifting bearish. That's really not a big deal though, because it's such a small amount of volume. It's not really a big thing. But when you take a look at liquidation, we are closer here to this lower area of liquidation. So generally speaking, when you have that much liquidation close by with a bearish divergence on Bitcoin with points of control and or open interest above the price, those are really not reflective of a good situation to try to buy, okay? Now, I'm sure somebody's going to be like, ooh, double bottom, let's buy the bottom. And that's fine. You can do that if you want, but it's still a descending trend. We're retesting our point of control here. The more often you retest the support, the more likely it is to break. I don't really like the way things are shaping up here. So that's just me personally. I'm always going to err on the side of caution, and I'm never going to try to sell you on buying a coin just because I have this wonderful feeling. I don't let my feelings get in the way of trading, and you shouldn't either. So, whomever it is that you're following, that's a very emotional trader, cough, cough, all XRP influencers, I would highly recommend being very careful in who you follow. That being said, though, looking abstractly here at the charts, the daily time frame does look still pretty good. We're above all moving averages. I don't think we're going to see a significant pullback if we do for this coin. We are barely sustaining 50 in the RSI right there with our moving average, so we're kind of at our last line of defense. But these momentous indicators really want to break down. They haven't yet. So you could argue that we're in a type of bearish flag pattern, which is technically kind of the case because we're derived from the upside. These usually do break down, but I'm not going to try to reach and tell you that that's something that isn't there. Otherwise, at this point, I would say hang out, wait to see what happens today, not just with the fundamentals, but also this weekend too. Things get weird on weekends, so I generally like to wait until like Saturday or Sunday to trade if I'm going to consider it. I don't love trading Fridays just based on the fact that there's like a lot of, it's a very manipulative market on Fridays, I feel. So at this point, very early to tell. I don't really recommend trading AVAX at the moment. Those are, once again, these are just my thoughts, folks. You don't have to take the trades, or you don't have to, take my advice. This is just definitely not financial advice. All that said, let's look at the ICP next, kind of see what's going on. We see a significant amount of open interest at 515-ish, so we are entering a support range. A liquidation short delta is super high, so not really the best conditions to try to trade into. And then, of course, we look at liquidation. We can recognize there's just a little bit left down here, as low as $5 even. So we could see a wick down to $5. I would just, based on this metric alone, along in the 5 to 515 range seems to be sensible. But once more, don't necessarily like taking a long into this much short liquidation. But we are massively overextended here. Look at this here. We lost our ascending trend. That's a bearish sign, by the way, folks. We've got all moving averages above the price action, our local point of control here at 560. There's just a ton of resistances for us. So me personally, instead of trying to take a wishful long right here, I would much rather wait for a more appropriate short where we see a bearish backtest of our ascending trend, where the price action comes up here, stalls out, and we short somewhere in this range. So that's kind of what I like to look for in situations like this. Once more, that requires patience. Not everybody has that quality, and that's okay. That's half the times why people watch my content, is because they want to become more patient and get kind of just an abstract view of things. All that said, we're losing all moving averages on the daily time frame. That's very bearish. Same thing here as well with 50 in the RSI. So I'm going to be looking for a bearish type of back test of that 550, 560 range and consider a short position in that level. I think a long to that range is much more suspect and much more or less likely to happen, if you will, than it is to take a short at a higher price point. The reason why I think that's advantageous and it's not smart to short right now is just based on the fact that we're massively overextended already, leading into our 0.618 fib level. You can see some weird stuff happen there. I'm willing to guess we see a short-term bounce and a continuation higher. Just know that's probably going to be a dead cat bounce, and it shouldn't be trusted. Last but not least is a little icing on the cake. There is no liquidation data for CRO coin here, but I like to cover this coin because it's also another highly requested coin. And it's a coin I like to trade in the past too as well. We've traded CRO quite a few times here recently with good success because it just keeps going up in most cases. Obviously it's pulling back, but hypothetically we're at a last line of support here at 15 cents, based on that being a multiple retest of a previous high. So that could work as a new low, hypothetically. I wouldn't recommend it, even though we do have a 0.5 fib level confluence there, just based on the simple fact that it's not smart to just buy dips to buy dips. At this point here, I mean, obviously you see the price action is looking kind of iffy here. Once more though, we're above our moving averages. That's a good sign. But we're starting to see this divergence on the MACD, not a good early indication, and stochastic swinging down with RSI kind of nosediving. So I think there's a decent chance we go lower with this coin. I don't think buying this dip is a smart call. That's just my thoughts. What are yours? Why don't you comment below, let me know. Don't forget to like the video, comment below. If you want to become a better trader, again, CryptoCache.tech is a site link down as well in the comments. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again so much for being an awesome part of my life. We'll see you again soon. Take care out there.